Zach, dealers love to steal your trade-ins. Trust me, I know. I was that guy when I initially started in the business.
All right, Pops, here's the deal. Folks clicked on this video for a few reasons, the primary one being they don't want to get screwed on their trade-in. So something that frequently can happen from used car managers. What we're going to do is we're going to break down how to avoid getting screwed on a trade-in, explain where trade-in values come from, and the steps you can take to negotiate the most for your trade-in. Let's start there, Pops. How do dealers come up with trade-in values? And if you can, share some personal anecdotes. What the hell? Where do the numbers come from? Explain the magic.
Well, the numbers come from in the old days when I started, in the prehistoric days, when Barney Rubble and Fred Flintstone traded in their car. We had printed books. Literally, we would get from a company called Galves, we would get weekly reports of what was going on by car model at the local auctions. And then we would get monthly books like the Kelly Blue Book, NADA book, Black Book. Today, everything's on the internet. Okay, so there's a company called vAuto that tracks all that information in one place for car dealerships to utilize, so that when they're appraising a car, they put it into vAuto and it'll show them what the average auction values for that model have been at Manheim, what the Kelly Blue Book value is, what the Black Book value is. And those are just guides that a dealership will use. A good used car manager will also take into account how that particular type of vehicle that they're appraising today has done when they've traded them in the past. Have they sold them quickly? Has it sat on the lot? These are the type of things that will impact a vehicle's values.
So at the end of the day, it is true that someone is just sitting in an office somewhere and they're coming up, the used car manager is coming up with a number. They look at all this data. Sounds like back in your day, it used to be books dropped off by the week or by the month. Nowadays, they can pull it up in vAuto. And that person is responsible for just putting a number on a vehicle. I imagine it's just their discretion. They want to go high, they want to go low, they just, whatever. The data informs it, but they choose a number.
Usually it's based on their level of experience of having appraised cars in the past and knowing what the market is on each individual model. Now, I know when I was trained, when I was mentored by a pre-owned manager, he taught me how to go out and look at the cars, what to look for paint drips, feel the seams so that you can see if there was any body work done, look for waves, things like that. Well, not only did he teach me what to look for, but he taught me initially that you should have three numbers in mind when you're appraising a car. The first number should be what you would like to be able to steal the car for. A lowball number. You know the car's worth more than what you're about to offer the customer, but man, you would love to get it for that because, well, you're just going to be able to make a huge profit when you retail it. Typically, you don't trade it for that number because customers are smarter than that. The second number is what the car is really truly worth, okay? What you think the real value of that car is. And the third number he taught me that I should have in mind is how much I was willing to push myself above that number, what I thought the real value was, in order to make a car deal. And it wasn't until later in life that I realized the only number that mattered was what the real value of the car is. That's how a lot of these car buying services come up with numbers for trade-ins without seeing them.
All right, Pops, I appreciate when you share stories like that. Obviously, we love seeing the industry move towards more information being available for customers. That being said, let's talk about the two things that are most important to know to make sure you do not get screwed on your trade-in. The first, let me say them to you and you'll tell me if I got them right. The first is, I think, what you were saying, online car offers and things like that. Yeah. You have to know the value of your vehicle before you go to a dealership to get a trade-in valuation. And I mean, not only like get the KBB number or whatever, but get actual cash offers. And we're going to show an example here in just a second of how that can work. So you have leverage. Mm-hmm. The second thing you need to know is the sales tax basis benefit. A little bit of a tongue twister, but that sales tax basis benefit will impact your negotiating leverage depending on which states you're in. Certain states, you don't get a sales tax basis benefit, and in other states, you do. Why don't we, well, you tell me, am I missing anything? And then why don't we start with the basis benefit?
You're not really missing anything. And just to give an example of what the sales tax basis benefit would be, let's say we're in Maryland and the sales tax in Maryland is 6%. And in the state of Maryland, you get a credit against your sales tax for the value of your trade-in. So let's say you're buying a $20,000 car and at 6%, the total sales tax would be $1,200. However, you have a trade-in, and let's say the value of your trade is $10,000. Well, you've already paid sales tax on that in Maryland's eyes, so they subtract that $10,000 trade allowance from the $20,000 selling price, and the balance is what gets taxed. So in this case, only $10,000 would end up being taxed, which means you've saved $600 in sales tax. In essence, making the total value of your trade $10,600. The $10,000 of the real value and the $600 in sales tax savings.
The states where you do not have a sales tax basis benefit would be California, Washington, D.C., Hawaii, Kentucky, Michigan, Montana, Oregon, and Virginia. In those states, what you just described doesn't happen. So no matter what, you need to get multiple offers for your vehicle. And I've got an example here for you, Pops, so that we can show everyone. I track so many different vehicles through Carvana to get their weekly updates of what the value of a vehicle is. This is, for example, in the state of Florida, in Miami, a 2018 Honda Accord with 56,700 miles on it. Carvana says it's worth $14,213. If we took it into a dealership as a trade-in, who knows what they would offer? But if my only point of reference is this Carvana offer of $14,213, I would have missed out on the reality that CarMax actually thinks it's an $18,000 vehicle. Car Gurus thinks it's a $16,782 vehicle. And Vroom thinks it's a $15,392 vehicle. Those four values, Carvana, CarMax, Car Gurus, Vroom, they are cash offers, okay? That is the leverage that you take into the negotiation, in this case in Florida, to that dealership to say, if you've got three numbers for this vehicle I want to sell you, your low ball, what it's actually worth, and how much you're willing to go up to. Why don't we just start with how high you're willing to go up to? Because I know it's an $18,000 car. And last time I checked, if you give me, I'm fudging the math here, but if you give me at least $17,500 with the sales tax basis benefit, it's even here in Florida. So why don't we do it? Like, that's how you negotiate this, right?
That is an excellent way to negotiate it. And the way the dealership is going to combat that is, well, CarMax hasn't seen the vehicle yet. This is based on everything you told them when you inputted the information. So once they see it and they double check and they make sure it is as described, then you very well could get the $18,000. If they find anything you forgot to tell them about, that offer's going down. So are you 100% certain that you described your car as accurately as perhaps you should have?
And that's where you as a customer respond by saying, I actually already took it down there and confirmed the online offer. No matter what, folks, these are the things you need to know, especially in today's market where used cars, there's a huge shortage of used cars at the time that we're making this video, and likely for years to come. And I don't think these tactics or these things that you need to understand, the concepts, are going to change anytime soon. So please check out. We have a free guide, CarEdge.com, back on CarEdge.com. We also have this valuation tool that we just shared here, CarEdge.com/sell. All the links will be down in the description below. Pops, thank you as always for sharing your knowledge.
Oh, it was my pleasure. And I do hope that people got something valuable out of this.